My name is Danny Ross, and I'm going to be your host for the Wednesday edition of the AI Lunch and Learn. And today we're going to continue the lesson into building your own website, or certainly a web page, which can be used for anything, including setting up your own products and services, descriptions, your launch or landing page, I should say. We'll also include the concept of a sales funnel. And I think that's what we're going to start working on today, just kind of building that out, as that is probably something almost every business needs, but not everyone understands how to build one. So we'll talk a little bit about the structure of a sales funnel as being a single product or service page for your website. It is critical that when a customer finds you either through digital marketing efforts or through organic search, that when they get to that particular page about that particular product or service, you do a really excellent job of laying out the benefits, the features, answering any objections that they may have, setting up your authority as the person who is best to help them with that particular challenge related to your product or service. And then, of course, giving them what's called a call to action, where you suggest to them that they can either contact you, schedule a call, sign up for more information or a newsletter, or actually purchase said product or service. So that's called a call to action. So those are the key elements in any sales funnel, and we want to make sure we get all of those covered. So as a quick reminder, we have these lunch and learns 3 times a week: Tuesday, 12 noon, Wednesday, 12 Central, and Thursday, 12 Pacific. We try to give a little bit of education and then get right into particular apps and how to utilize those apps. So feel free to go back and look at them at 1.2 or 1.5 speed so that you can kind of get through them quickly. But that's absolutely a resource for you. And today, as I mentioned, we're going to jump right into funnels and website builders. We have 4 of them. The one I recommend you utilize is the AEO Website Creator, as it is the latest and most powerful in as far as feature sets, but it also sets you up for being AI engine friendly or AI engine optimized. And what that means is that other search engines like ChatGPT, or AI search engines like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, etc., can easily find you. So you definitely want to make sure that you make that part of what you're doing. All right, so I think we've got enough to go ahead and get started here. Let me scroll on down here and get us into the AEO Website Creator. So what we'll do is we'll sort of wander through creating one, but I did want to show you some of the templates. Yesterday we started looking at templates, and today we're actually going to start building them. So if you missed yesterday's class, I'll make sure the recording is up by this evening for both the Ds, and then you can jump in and kind of take a look at them. So we're going to create a new funnel so that we can kind of test this out and get this going. Oh, I see Annette is on. Hey, Annette, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Speaking of Annette, why don't we continue building out her empire? So we'll actually use that as an example. I think your timing is perfect as usual. So Graceful Threads will be the name of the funnel. And again, this is an internal name. This is not what anyone external to you will see. It's just a way for you to organize. And you can build these out using existing templates. You can start from scratch, which is part of what we're going to do today, is actually start from scratch so that you can see how this kind of works. And there's a lot of different ways to build out your style and your template. I had a question, refresh my memory. What are your colors again?
Royal blue.
Royal blue. Okay. And what I'm doing is I try to keep a list of features and descriptions of what I'm working on for any particular project. And so we had worked on some things for you before. We had created some headlines. We had created what's called a benefit stack, which basically lays out the benefits of using your service. We created a free bonus. And then we started, this is the free bonus. It's a ebook on family planning, and we just did the outline of it. And then we did a family reunion checklist, which is more important. We created a personal blurb describing Annette. And so these are some of the key elements that you're going to want to have on any web page. The color of your is royal blue. We can play around with some of these and kind of come up with some specific ones that we like. So essentially, as I showed you yesterday, you can hover over a template, you can preview it, and kind of see what the color scheme is and things like that. So this is the color scheme for this particular template. I think what we can do is change each element as we go along, looking at a sales funnel so you can kind of see what it looks and feels like. And then we'll also build one from scratch. So we'll do both. So what I will do in this scenario is let's go ahead and build a new one and we'll put in a name. Can't type today. All right, cool. So we'll tell it we're going to build it from a blank one. So we're going to select this template. And effectively, all it's going to do is give us a blank page because that's what we asked it to do. In this other one here, I'll actually launch a second instance of this example. And we will go back here and we'll select this template. So in this one, I'll go into the example funnel, which is the template, and you can see the layout. And in this one, I'm going to go into Graceful Threads, which is completely blank. And we'll start essentially building from scratch this format. So let's talk about the format. So when you get into the funnel builder, you'll see some really simple buttons along the top here that, and if you hover over them, it tells you what they're for. It tells you you can add a segment. So what's a segment? Essentially, this whole space here is a segment. And when you go and hover over anything in here, it will essentially highlight it, create a border on it so you can kind of see all of it. And so that's what's great about this, building this way. So you can see what a good layout is. So that's segments. Rows are something like this. This is a row. So the segment is the big outer layer. The entire thing is a segment. And then in the segment, you will add rows. So there's a row, there's another row, there's another row. And then you can have columns. So like if you have a section that has more than one column. So a column is what you think. Inside of this, we have two columns. There's a column on the left, and then this whole picture takes up the column on the right. So this is a two column. And you can have all kinds of columns. You can have two column, three column. So you can have multiple, and then the components. So components are things like the picture, like the text, the heading, and we'll walk through what all of that is. Your site is what we call responsive, which is it can work on a desktop. So it has a much wider view, filling up a desktop monitor or screen. And then you have the tablet view, which is like if you have an iPad or something small like that. And then, of course, you have the phone view. What's great about the builder is you can build for all three of those screen sizes on one builder. And generally speaking, you don't have to do any special coding to make it work on all three sizes at the same time. So this is a very important thing because you don't want your user to visit your website on one of these smaller devices and your website doesn't look good on those devices. You want it to automatically resize down to whatever screen size they're in. So that's just called being responsive. We can create pop-ups, and so pop-ups are those things when you visit a web page, something pops up, a coupon or a message or the way that in a sales funnel you use it most often is to pop up the form where they can fill in their name, email, address, phone number, or they can fill out an actual shopping cart, as I described a little earlier. Here, you can get into the settings of the website itself, and I'll go through these later and kind of explain how these work. We'll come back to them. You can go back if you type something or create something and you say, oops, you can go backwards, hit this one. And if you do like your change, you can redo it and or put it back in. So back up here for oops, make go back a step or as many steps as you need to. You can go forward here, and then this one is the preview button, which is a great. This is where you can actually see what the website looks like. If you have a video, it'll actually play the video, that type of thing. So for example, if we go back to this example here and I hit the preview, we see nothing, just a blank page. So that's what the preview does. It allows you to see what your website is going to look like once you click this button here on the right, which is the save button. Let me expand this a little bit. Let's refresh. There we go. So you have the save button right here. You also can delete the whole thing, but don't do that. No, I'm just kidding. That you can't do it from there. This is just for this section. All right. So once you're done, you can hit exit. If you try to exit without saving, it'll give you a little warning. Hey, you forgot to save. So pro tip, always click the save button because you remember this web builder is in the cloud. If your internet goes down or anything weird happens, you don't want to lose an hour worth of work, right? So very important as you work, save every 5, 10 minutes, whatever, just to make sure. So if you make a major change, add something, just get in the habit of clicking the save button. That way, if it all goes away for some reason, you don't lose the work that you've put in. All righty. So let's talk about what makes a good sales funnel or web page in general, actually. But remember, a sales funnel is only a single form or a single page that focuses on a single product or service. Other than that, it is a web page. It is a website. There's not a lot of difference in the structure. So what we want to do, generally speaking, people start with their logo at the top, and the logo can be in the center. It can be off to the left. It could be off to the right. You can decide where that is really simply. So let me back up a step. I realized I went one step too far. So this row has a logo. And in this row, we have an image. And this image placeholder is called your logo, right? It's just a place where we're going to put the logo. And when we want to, we can change where that logo is, and I'll get back to how to do this when we create it on the blank one. I can move it off to the left. I can make it float to the right, or it's over here now, or I can just leave it in the center where it is now. So we'll walk through this menu system in slow detail. I just wanted to kind of show you the concept. So you have a row, we've got an image floating in the middle. The next one is our headline. So this is our main point. The main thing to attract somebody to your business. You want to make this really meaningful. And for NetSite, we'll use some of her headlines and test them out and see which ones we like. Below that is a subheadline where you kind of lay out a little more explanation. The thing about websites are people are used to seeing this kind of layout, so their eyes will go naturally right to your headline, and then that's where your first unique selling point or your what we call an atomic offer or Godfather offer needs to live. So the key first thing they see needs to be something wow. Oh, okay, great. So this one is sort of both a negative and a positive statement. Don't waste time. Let Techno AI elevate your business easily today. So it shows the problem, wasting time, and then immediately on the right, it shows what we're going to do to fix it. So that's not a bad technique. It's not bad. And then you get into a little bit longer description explaining. And then right below that is a video. And below that is what we call a call to action. So the video will explain. There's a couple of different formats of this. So you can have one where it's something like we would create in AI video, or it could be something where we take the time to sit in front of a camera and the principal person explains why you should do business with this particular company. So that's called a video sales letter, where you're just sitting in front of a camera and just speaking to your users who are visiting your website and just explaining, hey, this is why. Okay. So that's called a video sales letter. And then right below that is the call to action, which is what do we want you to do? We want you to schedule a consultation. And if you were alive when people read newspapers, there's an old term, above the fold. And all that means is everything is available and visible before you have to scroll, or in the world of newspapers, before you have to flip to the bottom section, right? So you want this minimum amount of information to be presented immediately upon someone landing on your home page so they get an immediate understanding of what it is that you do for a living, right? So there's lots of ways to do this. Let's say, for example, I'm rebuilding right now the Build Biz website. And so this is exactly the same thing. It's just a different layout. So here I have Build Biz's logo. I have start free trial. That's the most important thing I want people to do. And then here's my Godfather offer, or something to grab your attention. The number one no-code AI platform for building your business success. Bold claim, right? But then I go on to explain. It has 90 plus AI tools on one platform, simple AI tools to scale your business. So I go on and explain my bold statement. And here is a video explaining the platform itself, right? So these are the elements that you want to have. And here's the next call to action. This is if you're an existing customer, I just put a place for you to log in. What I'm intending to do is make this a two-column section, which it already is. And I'm going to add a button here for you to sign up, and then a button here on the right for existing members to log in. So I'm literally building out this as we speak. The elements are all the same, and that's why I said you can build out this above the fold section in many different ways. Okay, so we have the blank one here. Let's go back here. Here we go. We got the blank one here, which we're going to work on now. And then we have the existing template, which we're going to follow. So step one, you have a segment added automatically. It's kind of the default. And a segment, again, it's just a container in some other speak. It's just a place where you put things in. And in this case, we're going to add a full width one, so we can kind of lay out the top of our web page. And we'll just lay that out. And then if you click on any element, it'll automatically bring out this section. So in this segment, there's nothing here. So we want to add, if we want to put our header, assuming our logo, like we did on the other page at the top, we need to create a row for that logo to sit in. So think of the container as this big outside section. You can see where it's purple. So that is the container for the entire segment. And then within this segment, we're going to add a row. And then we're going to go to the next step. So let's go ahead and add a row. And you can have a row with one column across, two columns, three columns, and then there's a few other layouts. So for now, we're just going to put in a single column row, okay? And you can kind of see that if I go all the way out to the outside, I have the purple, and then I have the blue, and now I have a place where I can go in and add that component. And so the component we're going to add is the image, so that we have a place to put the logo. So that's what we're going to do now. So the next step, we're going to add one component. And it floats to the top with most used. These are the most used ones. And then it goes down and kind of gives you other components. You can search for a component if you know the name of it, or you can scroll down. So you have like a text header, and I'll show you pretty much all of these as we kind of walk through them. You can grab an image, put in a image, you can put in a video, you can create a form, and I'll show you how to do that. There's checkout for e-commerce, right? Shopping carts and things like that. You can put in a countdown, which adds urgency to your sales funnel. This offer will expire in 10 days. This ex will expire in 10 minutes. So you can kind of put in the excitement into the website. And then you have other components like AEO FAQs, and we'll talk about each one of these in just a little bit. You can have some miscellaneous things. So, for example, if you have custom HTML or JSON code, you can use that. There's navigation, which we will definitely use if we're going to make this from just a single page to a full website. And what navigation is your menu. So it will create where you can create multiple pages and move from page to page. So that's the difference between, generally speaking, a sales funnel and a website. Is the website will have a menu or navigation to move to the different pages. So today, right this minute, we're just going to add an image. So you can immediately see that the image is huge. All right, it takes up the whole width of the row. So a couple of things we want to do, of course, is actually get an image. So we can click on it. And when you click on any element, you're going to get this pop-out menu from the right. It'll talk about margin on the top. It'll talk about the actual link to the image. You can set up the size of the image. You can set up what happens when somebody clicks on the image, that type of thing. You can set up themes for the image, and we'll get into themes in just a second. And then miscellaneous is where you can say, okay, this will be centered. You can put radius, which just means the corners, it'll be rounded, things like that. You can put in a border, shadows, all that type of thing. There's a lot of options that really it's just click on them and see what they do kind of thing for the most part. And then you have some other ones like animations where it'll fade in over a certain number of time. You can play around with animations with type. Let's get in a logo. And so there's a couple of ways to get a logo in here. You can drag and drop it if you have one somewhere that you want to use, or you can get them from the stock images. So there's a few different places to go to. You can search within those, Pixabay, Icon Finder, Unsplash. So you can actually just search for an image that you want to add to the page, right? Let's see, t-shirts. I could search in Unsplash for t-shirt, and it'll bring up images of t-shirts. So if we're building out a t-shirt shop, you can use pictures of your own t-shirt, or if it's just a part of the page where you just want to have an image from one of these services, you can go in here and click on one of these because they would be useful, right? All right, so these are obviously not a logo, but I just wanted to show you how this kind of worked. So again, you can get it from the library. You can pick from stock images. You can get a background. So for example, if we don't want our background to be white anymore, we could actually pick a color, or you can upload an image that you want to use for your background. So let's say I pick, well, I don't know, royal blue, but it's not. This is just close to it or whatever. And so to get it to be your background for the whole page, you can just double click on it. And now that's the color background for that row. So you're learning about undo. So we were playing with the image, and this is going to be the logo. And let's go back here. And we know that we had a logo for Annette. And let me see where that might be hiding. Hold on. Okay, good. All right. Maybe. Let me see if I have it down here somewhere. Give me one second. We've got our downloads. This was a while ago. I should have named it. Maybe I did. Did I? Don't think so. I know we were playing with some, but I'll go re-download it if I did not actually. So let me go in here. I'll check quickly. I don't think I have one already downloaded. Let's see. So, don't think so. All right, let's just go grab it. This is where it's handy to have all of these in one file folder. That's what I talked about before, right? So let me show you a little trick. I'm going to go back and open up another tab just so I have another place to work from. And let's go. Whoops, I don't need that one. So let me show you a little trick to find images quickly. You could go to each one of these and try to find where it is. The other trick, which is faster, is go to File Storage. So in file storage, it essentially, this is what it sounds like. It's a file place for all of your images, your marketing proposals, your videos, any kind of motion maker that you saved, any movies you've saved, and any documents that you've created, for example, in the Big Dream Generator. So we know that I believed we used this version of my user to create the image. And in that case, it would be in here somewhere. The question is where? All right, so we have images. Let's see if we can get this to find them for me. Uh, so it might not have been this user. Let's go back in here. Let's see if it's in here. Same thing here. See if we can find it in this version of my users. All right. Okay. I'm just going back in time here, just seeing if we can find it. And by the way, if you name them, it makes it easier to find later. Just like any organization on your file folder, anything like that, it makes it a lot easier to find. Let's go back here. Oh, there it is. Graceful threads. So we did organize this part of it. Let's see, hyper-realistic image for graceful threads. I know we had some, so why is the system working so slowly? Oh, I know why. Because it was in Logo Maker. Let's see. Come on, wake up. There we go. So we have our original logo, this one right here. So we'll save this one. We'll download it. And there's three formats for download: PNG, which is great if you want to have transparent backgrounds on an image. JPEG is another format, and WEBP, which is generally speaking the smallest file. So it's downloaded as right here. So you can just open up the folder that it went to, and then you can rename it so that you never have to look for it again. You can just search, right? And we'll save that and we'll put it wherever we want to find it. But for now, I'll leave it in downloads. So now we know where it is. We can go back to our website building exercise, blank one here. And you can either drag and drop it. And so there's our logo. And as I said before, you can essentially just come right here and change the size. So let's say we make it 200. Maybe we'll make it 300. So that's it on the full size, and we can see what it looks like. Oops, I forgot to save it. You got to do that first. So it will not publish it unless you hit save. So remember my training, I said you should save it, right? All right, so it's up there. Oh, that's interesting. I just realized we grabbed The one with the phone number, that's not the one we actually wanted to download. So let's go in here, switch it out. Oh, let's see. All right, let me make sure I get this here. Interesting. Okay. That is a bit of a challenge, but one that's easily fixed because I do not want the phone numbers in here. All right, so I'm going to just cover over those phone numbers because I don't want those. So you can click annotate. And so that's one way to do it is cover it over and make the box the same color as the background, for example. That's one way to do it. I'm going to show you both ways, right? So that's one way. So now we have a box kind of hovering there. And then the other way is just to crop it out. And then so you could cut that off if you wanted to change the size of it, right? That's another way to do it. And I will duplicate it just so I can get rid of that part. And now it's pretty much gone. And that's basically all I wanted for this. So you can do it that way. And then once you click done, by the way, those it's gone, right? It's effectively going to be covered over yep. So I have that kind of image there. I can do a couple of things from here. I can download the whole thing again, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do two versions of it. I'm going to download it with the background. So that one is downloaded with the background. Now, hopefully we should have, yep, that's what we want. And so we'll get rid of this one. We don't need this one. And we'll rename the one we want as the logo graceful threads. And okay. Oops, I forgot to delete this one first. There we go. Okay, perfect. So that. And then we will grab this one and we will remove the background so that we have a version that we can put on any background, and the only thing should be the actual image. So the white background will be gone. So you just click on remove background and take a second. And so it shows you what it's going to look like. And the gradient gray and white checker box just lets you know that it will not, there is no background, if you will. So we'll download that one as well. And now if we go into that folder, we'll give that one a new name. That, and then I'll say transparent, just so I know. And as I mentioned before, it automatically puts in a .png because that's the format that supports transparency in images, transparent backgrounds in images. All righty, so let's go back into our builder. And this image is not the one we want because it has a fake phone number and email address in it. So we're going to take this image and replace it. And we're going to upload actually our two logos that we do want. So we have this one with the background and then this one the transparent. So we're going to want to get both of them. And I'm going to open up that one, bring that up. And then this one I'm going to trash because we don't want that one cluttering up our uploads. And then I'm going to get the transparent one. All right, and that's the one we're going to drop in. So now this will work automatically with any background that I pick. So for example, right now the image is here. I can go into setting it up with the different styles and sizes and themes and all of those types of things, right? So the image itself is there, and then we have, let's go outside of it to the here, and we can pick a background color, for example. Let's see if this will work the way I think it will. There we go. So there's a background color there on that row, right? And so what it's doing is showing you that the image will pick up the background of the background color or background image, and it'll show through. So you can pick any of them and it will show through as the image. So that's the nice thing of having a transparent logo, all right? Anyway, that looks pretty good. So we'll leave that. So now we have, let's save that. And so the next step is we want to add another row. So if we go back to our sample, we have the logo up here at the top, and then below it, we have a whole nother section or segment right below it, right? Remember, so you have this area here, and then you have that area there. So you can go from one to the other. So let's say we want to create something like this one here. And if we click on it, we can see where it has a row where it has 80% width. So it doesn't go all the way to the edge, whereas the logo is in a row that goes all the way to the edge. So that's kind of like the difference. So when we add this next row, we're going to make it a little bit closer. And what I like is it gives you all these what they call tool tips that lets you know where you are. It gives you information about it. It's a one column row. It's 80%. So this is a good way to kind of train yourself as you're doing this. Have two tabs, one with a template that's already done that you kind of like the layout of it. The only reason I'm going slow and showing you each component is I want you to get an understanding of what you're doing. Because when you go to edit a template, you need to understand what's happening. That's the only reason we're going through the exercise so slow. But you can do this by just grabbing a template that you like. And by the way, we're going to have a lot more templates available and just editing it out to where you want it to be, right? So I could, for example, go here where I have this logo and I could grab the logo from the folder, right? So I can go find the one. I won't use the transparent because it won't show very well. I'll use this one here and I could open that up and I could add that. And now that's the logo. So you see where that logo has a background and you can see it's only 150 pixels. So if I make it 300, it's bigger. So now it's there. Now that doesn't look particularly good, which is, by the way, why we usually make the logo background transparent so it looks good. And so what we would normally do is have a background that's not so busy so that the logo with the transparency looks good. If I did the one with the transparency, it just wouldn't show up very well. So now I've dropped in the logo with the transparency so you can see through to the background. But because the background is so busy, you really can't see the logo very well. So that's the reason why if you're going to use a logo, you want to have a background that supports it. So for example, here we have this whole background. It has colors and so on, all that stuff, but we are actually using a background image. Remember I mentioned settings? And so if we go here, we can add a background image. If I click all the way out, I can click on the actual outer section, right? Not just of the segment itself. And under there is where you can kind of see all of these other things going on. So we're not going to edit this one right now because this is the background image that's there, right? Remember I talked about the segment. So the segment, if as a refresher, is all the way on the outside. It's the biggest container. And then within the container, we have a row. And in the container, we have a column and so on and so forth, right? There's an inside the segment or container. And this is the background image that we're using here. So I could get rid of that. I could pick one. Let's just pick a gradient like this one here. So that looks pretty good, right? So it's a gradient, which means that it has some shading in it, but it works much better with the logo. So hopefully that made it clear. You can add your logo, but you have to be careful that the background you're putting your logo on makes sense for where it's going to land. And so now it changes the whole, what's the word I'm looking for? The look and feel of this website by getting rid of that background image, putting my logo. So this is what I meant by you could get in and edit a template to look any way you want to look. But before you can do that, you need to understand all of the pieces that are going into that template. And that's why was the lesson for today. So I'll pause here, see if anybody has any questions. How do you think we're doing so far? Is it clear? Do you understand what I'm doing?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to undo until we get back to where we were because I don't want to change the template. I just want you to see all of the elements of it. And so if we go back now to yours, here's yours, and then we're going to create the next section. So we're going to add another component. So you can add another segment, you can add another row. In this case, we're just going to add another row. And we're going to add a single column row, I believe. Let me go back. Yes, this is a single column. Let me make sure I got this right. So we have this row here. Yeah, we have this is a single column row. That's correct. All right, just wanted to make sure I was adding the right component. So we'll add a single column row. And you do that just by dragging it to wherever you want to be. So you can put it above it, the logo, for example, or in this case, we're going to put it below the logo. We're just going to drop it there. And then we're going to make this, we're going to add, let's drop in, let's add in another row. We already have a row. I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. So everything kind of vibes the way we want. And this, I believe, is just going to be a header. So we have the headline is where we're going to drop in there. Oh, I do want to change something here. So to change this, we want to make it. Remember on the other one, we paid attention that this particular one, you can see the layout of it. And so we made it, this is the headline. So let me actually go back one step. I removed that. There we go. So this is the one column row that we just added. My apologies. We're going to change that to 80. So this row is not going to go all the way across. It's just going to be 80% of the whole line, whereas this is 100%. This one is 80%. And then we're going to go in and add this component right here. So let's add the component, and the component is going to be a headline. And this is where you make your statement about graceful threads. So let's go back to our document here. All right, so we have our document and we've got headlines right here. So make these a little clearer. I'm going to make them, there we go, just so we can see them a little better. So we've got transform every moment into a lasting memory with our apparel. Make your family gatherings unforgettable with personalized apparel. Create lasting memories with our thoughtfully designed apparel. Celebrate every occasion with meaningful apparel that lasts a lifeline. So, of these, anyone jumps out at you that you like?
I, I like the second one.
Make your family gatherings unforgettable?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. So we'll grab that line. We'll go back to the template. We're going to the headline. Now, as we learned yesterday, you don't want to just paste it because it'll put in all weird stuff, but you want to paste and match style. So depending on your browser, that might say something a little different, or you could type it. Obviously, you want to paste if you can get away with it, save time. So if we paste it, we can basically put it in so that it's there. That kind of makes it easy. And those are set up in the typography here under the settings in the website. You can go in and select a font for your website that would default throughout the entire page. So that makes it easy. So you don't have to keep going back. Generally speaking, you only want to have at most two fonts on your website, not including your logo. Logo can be anything you want it to be. But on the page itself, you only want to have two fonts. They can be all different sizes, but only two fonts. Font is a typeset or a typeface, and it's the personality of your website. So if you go in here and say, I want to select one of these, you can pick any of them. Um, for the content and then pick one for your headlines. Bold is just what it does. Italic, it's basically just a quick editor. Then this only appears for type type fonts and things. So you can make it left, center, right. You can add a link to the text, or if you click the gear, it'll pop it out so you can see and select a font. You can put a margin at the top. You can pick the font size by typing it in, dragging it out. So you can make it however you want to do it, right? You want to make sure it fits on all three size screens. You can set up a special size just for mobile, and I'll show you where and why you might want to do that. You can pick a text color. You can play around with all of those options until you get where you want to be, right? You can pick opacity, which we'll play with that later. And then you see here it has headline font. So this is if you set up the typography where we were before, it would automatically choose that. So once you select that, it makes it faster and easier, right? So what we want to do here is we want to play with the font type. So there is no right or wrong to this. It's truly what you like. Okay, so that's Open Sans, Roboto. But the good thing is once you pick one that you like, you don't have to mess with it anymore. We'll set this up in the typography section, and it will always be your font for this page. So it is really just, and you can work on it and change it and say, okay, I like that one or I don't like that one. So there is no right or wrong to this. So this is literally you just pick one and then you say, okay, yeah, that works for me. I like that one. So we have the headline. Poppins is a popular typeface for headlines. So we would go back here now that we kind of picked that one, and we would just go to settings and we will say for headline font, I like Poppins, for example, right? And then for content font, I like Open Sans or I like Roboto. It doesn't really matter. You can pick your font. These are the themes or the settings for the whole website, right? You can pick the color. You can say whatever you want your headlines to be. Like you like royal blue, we can get an exact color for royal blue and use that. So this is, just kind of picking out what your text font is going to be. And then same thing with what link color is going to be. So you can play around with these all of the time and get where you want them to be. Once you're happy with them, like for instance, this is our headline, we could say, okay, for this particular headline, I want a particular color or whatever. What you need to do is pick like two fonts that you're comfortable with, one for the header and then one for the text throughout the whole page. And then you can pick colors and things like that. So we know royal blue is going to be in the mix here somewhere. So whether it's in our photos or wherever it is going to be, we can kind of pick and choose where that lives. So we just kind of so far we've gotten the page set up, we've got our header, and now we want to create another page here. So what we might do, for example, let's say we are back here and we're working on this here. We've got our header here that is right there. We can go in and drop another line. So we can pick another component. And so we'll put in a subheader, all right below it, of course. And so we'll put in our subheader. So the subheader is more of an explanation. And in the case of our different components here, the subheader is generally speaking something from your benefit stack, for example. All right, so we can highlight these and I'll make them bulleted so they stand out again. And so we have avoid generic styles, right? We inspire designs from your significant family stories, ensuring personalized sentimental reunion t-shirts. Timely design and delivery. So these are the pain points. And then here is the benefit. We operate on a carefully planned timeline, avoiding rush fees, quality material and comfort, inclusive design input. We encourage family feedback across all family generations, ensuring designs, materials, and sizes cater to everyone's. Then you have guaranteed satisfaction, stress-free planning, memorable family reunions. Your family will adore the custom-made t-shirts, preserving memories in a unique, tangible way. Headline, subheadline, I should say. And we're going to paste and match styles. And we're going to take out the bullet. All right, so now that is a little small. So we would basically go into the little and make it a little bigger. So it'll drop to 2 lines, for example, right? Something like that. We'll make our headline a little bigger. That's a little too big. And what we can do is to make it smaller so it fits within the goal of what we're trying to do. We're going to make it a subheadline, make it a content font. So that makes it less, it's a smaller weight, or if you will. And then we can, let's see, miscellaneous. Got 1 column, so we can add some padding. Yeah, put a little bit of space there. That's pretty good. And around this one, oops, settings, let us do, yeah, vertical alignment, background color. You could put blue here. That's not terrible. I don't like that blue there. Nope. Let's undo that. That's not quite what I want, but I know what I can do that will work. I think what I want is up there. There we go. Come on, work with me. There we go. Background color, image, top, bottom. Vertical alignment, miscellaneous. We'll make it rounded. There we go. That's better. We'll put in a border, a full border. And you can put different styles on your border. You can make it different pixel widths and lengths. You can choose the color, right? So we can put in a blue one if we like, or a gray one, or whatever color you want it to be. So now you have a separation between the logo and here. And like I said, you can put a background on this one, and you can say it's a very subtle background, for example. So you can go in here. Let's see if we do blues. Let's see, we can get something light and friendly. So I'll show you a quick trick. I have a tool called Color Picker, which is you can click on any item in here by using the little eyedropper to get the color that's there. So then we can pick a color that we want to use from there. So then it gives you the actual color right here. So that's 924451. That's the hex code of that color. So for example, if we go into background color and we put it here, now it has that color from your font. All right, well, that's good, but it's a little too strong. You can use this slider here to make it light as you want it to be. So it's just a very light background. And it's the same thing with the the border color. And that is over here. We can change the border color and it'll be darker now. So we'll leave that stronger. And now we have something that fits with you see how the difference, right? So now this fits with your logo. It doesn't clash with your logo. So
Right.
it just makes it a lot easier. And then so now we can play with things like make that bold, make that bold. So it's easy to read even on the background. And so now you get the vibe, right? You can see where we're going here. So we'll play around with this until we get it to where we want it to be. So now you have two rows of text. One is a header, one is a subheader. And if we go in here, there is a way. Let's see, we've got the margins, opacity, and we have the text spacing, one column, padding, border radius, border, no border. Let's see, 20. That's just going to bring it further down. We'll leave it where it is for now. Square is fine. We're not going to have a border on that one anyway. So I think we're good. And that's not terrible. That's a good start. We'll keep working on it. And the idea is if you wanted it to fit on one line, you would just make it smaller until it fit on one line. So that'll be fine there. I like that. And then when you go to tablet, you always want to check to see what it looks like on different sizes. So this would be on a cell phone, for example, right? That's not horrible. So it's pretty good. So we'll stop here for today and we'll continue on. But thanks everybody who's on the call. And thank you again for being a wonderful volunteer. And we'll keep working on this until we're happy with it. I have some ideas, but I wanted to just teach today the simplistic start so everybody can kind of understand where we are. All righty, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, which is noon Pacific time, which is 3 p.m. Eastern, and I'll see everybody. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.